Hello, and welcome to episode number 7 of A Teen Talk Skating. Yes, I did remember what number episode we're on, unlike last week, where I did not, and that was kind of embarrassing. But yeah, welcome to episode 7 of A Teen Talk Skating. Today is going to be another episode, which the format I haven't done before, and it's going to be a predictions episode for Worlds 2024. Because Worlds is literally happening next week, which is absolutely crazy because I feel like this season has gone by really fast, actually. I don't know, time flew by. Like, I remember watching the Grand Prix, like, last month, I swear. But anyway, we're going to be talking about predictions for Worlds 2024 in Montreal and, who I think is going to win, why, and we're going to discuss, like, different skater trajectories and I'm going to be trying to predict the podium, which I usually don't have a lot of success with whenever I do it, but maybe this time, But yeah, Worlds 2024, it's the biggest competition of the season, Worlds, of course. So, definitely very interesting, especially since it's halfway for the quad between, 2022 Olympics and 2026. 2024 is halfway. And so I kind of see this as kind of a check-in point for a lot of skaters. Who is competing? How are they doing? What's their trajectory going to look like going up into 2026? And things like that. But before we get to our predictions, we of course have our program of the week. This is a program I love a lot. I've been thinking about. And this week's program is an ice dance program. And it's Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier's Vincent Free Dance from the 2018-2019 season. I just love this program, honestly. The way they portray the song, it just they feel so connected to the song. The costumes too, Piper, she's in this Starry Night inspired outfit, and then Paul, he's kind of in like a painter's smock, kind of, not smock, but like a tunic kind of thing. And I just love the intricateness of this program. I wouldn't say there's any elements that are like any of the bigger elements, like lifts that are super, stunning, that are super noteworthy for me. But this program, everything in between, the transitions, just the small parts, they just add up together. Before the twizzles, like the transitions between the twizzles, the sets of twizzles, they feel so stunning. They're so pretty, and it just, everything like flows so well together, and you can tell they're passionate about the music too. I just love this program. Another moment I really liked was the choreographic character step sequence. I just thought it was emotional, and I just love it when skaters really look like they're connecting to the program, and I definitely think Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier, they really do connect to this music. Vincent, it's definitely my favorite program of theirs. They have so many amazing programs, and of course we're going to be talking about them later in the ice dance event. But I just think their Vincent Free Dance, so amazing. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Piper Gillis, Paul Poirier. I'm so sorry I said that wrong. Their Vincent Free Dance from the 2018-2019 season, but I don't know if they used it for another season, but I forgot. But that's the one I remember. Anyway, Worlds 2024 predictions. Very exciting. So how is this gonna work? I can't talk today. Oh my gosh, how this is going to work, gosh. So I'm gonna be giving the skater that I think is, in contention for the podium, the name of the skater, some information about them. But most importantly, I'm gonna be talking about their scores this season. So I'm gonna be giving their season's best from an international competition. This is like any international competition this season, their season's best. So not their personal best, because that could be from another season, because I think that the season's best score is a more accurate indicator of how well they've been doing this season. So it's not going to be their personal best score, it's going to be their season's best score, because I feel like that's a better indicator. It shows more about how they're doing specifically this season for this year's World Championships. But in addition to the best score, I'm also going to be telling you guys their lowest score from an international competition, because I think it's also important to see, like, you know, where the skaters have been when they've not done so well, as they've hoped at competitions. So, you know, based on that information, that's going to be considered in my kind of criteria for seeing who I think is going to be on the podium. But also, you know, like how many competitions they have done this season, you know, if they're coming back from injury, you know, what's their consistency been like, and things like that, you know, under rotation issues, quarter calls, and edge calls, and things like that. So there's definitely a lot of things I'm thinking about as I choose these skaters. It's not just their scores. Because, you know, like, you can obviously do better than your season's best score at Worlds, obviously. I'm sure it's happened millions of times. So it's not saying, like, that the season's best score is their limit. Like, they can't go past that. But it's just an indicator for me, personally. I think it's a good indicator. So yeah, so I'm going to be telling the skater their season's best and their lowest score this season as part of some information. But the last thing I will say before we begin with the pairs event is that ice is slippery. As we all know, we learned it. The first episode of this podcast, I said ice is slippery. And, you know, I'm not saying that the people who I predict are gonna win, like, for sure, or, you know, they're gonna get a medal, because ice can be slippery. You know, you never know what happens in figure skating. You know, a fall, you know, whatever could happen. And so I do really think consistency is the biggest thing in this competition right now, for all events, honestly. But yeah, ice is slippery, so you know, maybe there's gonna be a super surprise winner that I just never thought, like, whoa, that person won, you know. But yeah, so we're gonna get started. First, I'm gonna do it again in the order of these events that are happening. So the first event that's happening is the pairs event, which I feel like pairs has gone first a lot recently. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Again, I will say I don't really follow pairs. It's definitely the discipline I watch the least. But, you know, based on some, like, general research, I'm not a super expert in pairs, but I'm going to be talking about the teams that I know that are, you know, relatively good. And I do want to say that I got all these scores and it's like statistical stuff from Skating Scores. Amazing resource, amazing website. Definitely do go check it out. That's where I got the season's best, the lowest score, and, you know, some other general information about the skaters. It's a great source if you're really interested in figure skating scoring, how judges score, etc. But anyway, the pairs event. I've been rambling for 8 minutes already. Can you believe it? So I definitely think it's really interesting event in the pairs event with Miura and Kihara coming back, especially. You know, they've been off from injury most of the season, and so them coming back at this Worlds, you know, in the middle of the not in the middle, at the end of the season at Worlds, the big competition. They've been world champion once last year, so, you know, very interesting. So I definitely think this is an open competition. But the first team I want to discuss is Bacardi and Guaris from Italy. They are the surprise European champions here. I think a lot of people didn't expect them to be European champions, but their season's best score is 199.19 at Europeans, and their lowest score this season is 175.41 at the Challenge Cup, which was pretty recent. So, you know, they definitely do, like, they haven't had consistent scores, but, you know, they come in as a surprise European champions, which, you know, very interesting because they don't have the highest score out of all the European teams competing here, but they did win Europeans. So I definitely think it's going to be interesting how the judges see that, you know, oh, these two are European champions, like, you know, how that affects them, how it affects their reputation. But, you know, Italy recently has had so much success in pairs, so it's so amazing that to see them here. And, you know, what if I do really think, like, they, like, all these teams I'm going to discuss, I really do think they're a threat to the podium, you know, stuff like that. But then the second team I want to discuss is Melkina Barulava from Georgia. I'm sorry I said those names wrong. They got these silver Europeans behind the Italians. So their highest score this season is 202.11 at the Junior Grand Prix final. Their lowest score this season is 179.32 from Junior Worlds. Now, I'm actually not too sure about what the differences between a junior program and a senior program are in terms of pairs specifically. So I'm not sure if those, because, in singles, like, there's a step sequence that's added on in the free skate. So I'm not sure actually what the difference would be, but, I feel like at senior level, you tend to get more points anyway. So again, they could be a threat to the podium here. I really do think that. It's interesting that they're coming up from juniors to the Junior World Champions this year. It could be interesting if perhaps they medal at the Senior World Championships as well. And this is their first season together, so it's already very impressive what they've been able to do. And then another team this is their first season together is Hasse and Volodin from Germany. Again, I'm sorry I said those names wrong. This is their first season together. They're competing for Germany. And in this first season, they've shown so much success and so much potential already. Their highest score is 206.43 at the Grand Prix final and 190.69 at Europeans. They won the Grand Prix final, right? They did win the Grand Prix final. Yeah, they did win the Grand Prix final. And I do really think they seem to be relatively consistent, more consistent than some of the other teams in terms of their scores. And, it's definitely very interesting. Their first season together, they're amazing. I really enjoy their programs this season too. And I find they're a little more consistent than the next team on discuss, which is Conti and Massi from Italy. I'm sorry if I said those names wrong. Who their best score this season is 205.88 from the Grand Prix final and their lowest is 188.60 at Grand Prix Finland. So, just a little under in terms of their season's best at the same competition as Hasse and Volodin. But I'm not really sure. I definitely think those two could be interchangeable. But from the, scores that I saw, Hasse and Volodin were a little more consistent. But, those two, on a good day, like, both of those teams could compete extremely well. And, we don't know what could happen. But the team that has the highest season's best this season, oh my gosh, is Stellato Dudek and Deschamps from Canada, who has had their best season yet. They have won gold at every single competition except at the Grand Prix final, where they won a bronze. Their best score this season is a 214.64 at Grand Prix Canada and 198.80 for their lowest score at Four Continents. So, their 214.64, that's the highest score we've seen from any pair this season. So, definitely looking in, it looks like they're going to win. But again, ice is slippery and we don't... Oh my gosh, my throat. I'm so sorry, guys. And we don't know what could happen. But I definitely think they have the best chance of winning. But we're going to discuss the podium in a moment. And the last team that I'm going to discuss, this is the interesting team that I talked about, Miura and Kihara from Japan. They are last year's world champions, but they have been injured for the most of this season. And they've only been able to compete in 2 competitions. So their season's best is 190.77 at Four Continents. And their lowest score is 188.05 from the Autumn Classic way in the fall. So, in this situation, I definitely think it's a case of, are they recovered now from their injury? Because we saw them 1 month ago at Four Continents, and, still, they didn't have the best score that maybe they would have liked, but we've seen them. We know that they have potential, so it's definitely interesting who is going to win in terms of their injury, because this is their first competition back. We haven't really seen them in comparison to many of the other teams yet, so this could be a surprise, I think. So for my podium predictions, just these aren't maybe the most accurate. I think third place may be Miura and Kihara. Second place is going to be Hasse and Volodin. And I'm pretty sure first place is going to be Stellato Dudek and Deschamps, unless something majorly bad happens. I'm pretty sure they're going to win. It just seems like this is their best season. They're on track, trajectory to get the gold. Women's is the next discipline we're going to discuss. And I do think this is an open field as well. And there's a good amount of contenders for the podium. Now, the first skater is, I literally wrote please next to their name, is Amber Glenn. Because I so want Amber Glenn to have a breakout moment at this World Championship, because it feels like we've been waiting forever for her to have this giant breakout moment, where she has 2 clean programs. And I just really want her to win a medal at Worlds. Even though she hasn't been the most consistent this season, her highest score this season is a 189.63 at Skate America, and lowest score is 177.51 at Golden Spin of Zagreb, the Challenger Series. Compared to the rest of this field, she has a triple axel. And she's shown that she can be consistent. Most jumps, she can be consistent. She has a triple axel. If she puts it all together, I'm just saying that she could potentially be a threat for the podium. But, we haven't seen her put it all together yet. But I love Amber Glenn so much. I believe in Amber Glenn so much that I want her. I need her to skate as clean as possible. Because I really do think even if she can't win a medal here, she can have a really big breakout moment that can really show the world what she is very much capable of doing. Amber Glenn's I really, really wish, maybe not gonna happen. I really, really wish that she wins a medal. But Isabel Levito is next. Her season best is 208.15 at Skate America, and 191.86 is her lowest score at the Grand Prix final. So her last appearance, the last time we saw her in competition, was the U.S. Nationals, where she did have that shock free skate with 3 falls in it. It was super shocking. But I really do think she's a fighter. She was 4th at Worlds last year. So definitely she has, a big reputation that she is a very successful skater. And if she was 4th at Worlds last year, what can happen this year is just, that's what I'm saying. Because I definitely think she's grown as a skater between last season and this season. I personally enjoyed this season's programs a lot more than her last season's programs. They just feel more developed as a skater, as an artist. And at Grand Prix final, she was 6th in the short, and then she rose up to, I believe, 4th overall or 5th overall after, a better free skate. So she's a fighter. I know she's a fighter, and I think she has to do well here because U.S. figure skating wants 3 spots for next year's Worlds. But it will depend on how Amber Glenn places as well. But Amber Glenn plus Isabel Levito, I definitely think they can get 3 spots for next year's Worlds. They have the potential to with their scores. The next skater is a big surprise skater based on their last competition, and that is Monet Chiba from Japan. Her season's best is a 214.98 from 4 continents, major score. Her lowest score this season was an early competition, the Autumn Classic, with 160.25. She was a huge surprise at 4 continents for me. Her program was so very nice. I can't talk. So nice. 214.98 is not a low score at all. That's a major score. It's the 3rd highest score this season for senior women. So that, I do think that maybe the last competition at 4 continents, we saw her 1 month ago, maybe she's gotten even better since then. Like, what if she gets a medal here as well? It set up the trajectory for her really well. Again, I feel like as you win more titles, the judges are more on your side. So I definitely see Monet Chiba being a little more favored by the judges based on the fact that she won the 4 continents title. We saw that with Haeyeon Lee last year as well. She won the 4 continents title with, I believe she won 4 continents, right? Yeah, she won the 4 continents title, and then she went on to win the silver at Worlds. So, I definitely believe something similar could happen here, potentially with Monet Chiba, because 214.98 is not a low score, and so potentially even a victory, you never really know. Depending on how well she skates and how her competitors skate, potentially she could get even more than potentially maybe people predict. But she's such a good skater, and I don't know why I've never noticed her skating style before. I really like her skating style. Her program, her free skate this season is so great. And so, with that victory at Fort Collins, I definitely think she has the chance to win a medal here. Yeah, definitely think so. But anyway, our next skater is, like the queen of pop music, the queen of disco, take us to the club, as I've read on Reddit. But that is Luna Hendricks from Belgium. Her season's best this season is 221.28 at Ski America and 201.49 at Grand Prix China. And like Isabel Levito and Amber Glenn, one skater I didn't mention was Nina Pinzarone, also of Belgium. Luna and Nina want 3 spots for next year's Worlds as well. Luna Hendricks, I see her as, she could defeat, I guess she could win against Kaori Sakamoto if Kaori Sakamoto isn't clean. I think Luna Hendricks could win. Kaori's season's best is higher, but I will discuss that. But anyway, let me drink some water first, guys. This has been a lot already. Okay. But Luna Hendricks, I really love her free skate. It grew on me, not gonna lie. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, Luna Hendricks. Like, what is this disco music? Like, why? But, like, now I love it. I love it so much. But Luna Hendricks, she's European champion this year. Again, another big title. And she's been around for a while. And so if she can win world champion this year, it will be very amazing for, I feel like, her overall story. To show that, I feel like she's put in so much hard work over the years. Because at first, she wasn't, immediately a world champion. She wasn't immediately a Europeans medalist. But she's so amazing, honestly. I really like her story, I feel like her work ethic and everything. But Luna Hendricks, she has struggled with underrotations in the past. If those show up here at Worlds, those could definitely hinder her score, reduce her score. But I feel like recently her underrotations have gotten better. She's rotated better. That's what I just said. I don't know why I said it again. So, I definitely think could be world champion, in case the other competitors don't do so well. But I hope that everyone does well in this competition, because if everyone was clean, that'd be an amazing competition to watch. But last but not least, we have Kaori Sakamoto, who is the 2-time world champion, 2 times in a row, 2022, 2023. So if she can do 2024, that's 3 times in a row, and that's a lot of world titles. But her season's best this season is 226.13 at Grand Prix Canada, and her lowest is 203.20 at the Autumn Classic. So again, both scores are in the 200s, just like Luna Hendricks. And, anything above 200 is, pretty impressive in women's skating. And so I literally put as my note, undefeatable, ? Because maybe that is true. Maybe Kaori Sakamoto is undefeatable. I have no idea if she has been defeated this season. I believe she has been. I believe Kaori Sakamoto has been, but not at an international competition. I think it was more of a domestic competition. I'm not sure, though. So I love her short program. It's Baby God Bless You. It's so beautiful. It's dedicated to her two, I think, I don't remember if it was nieces and nephews, or I don't really remember, but it was so beautiful. It is so beautiful. It still exists. But it definitely depends if Kaori Sakamoto, if she's clean or not, because out of all the competitors, I think she does have the highest chance of winning the world championships. But again, ice is slippery, and so if she's not clean, then and someone else is that also has similar scoring potential, they could swoop in and take the gold. But I honestly think Kaori Sakamoto is going to be on the podium, no matter what, because I really do think, the judges are really in favor of her. Her skating skills are really great. Her free skate isn't my favorite this season, but I definitely see people that love it a lot. And, I really feel like she really connects to her programs well. So artistry-wise, I think she's really there in terms of scores. technical, some under rotations, pops, those could happen, but those could happen to any skater. So, it depends on who's clean in this competition, just saying. But for my podium predictions, third, I'm going to predict Moni Chiba. Second is Luna Hendricks, and first, Kaori Sakamoto. Those seem like the most likely to me. I definitely see maybe Isabel Levito has the performance of her life. Maybe Amber Glenn has the performance of her life and swoops in. Or maybe it's a skater who I didn't really talk about at all, like Nina Pinzarone, or maybe even Anastasia Gubanova, or, tons of other skaters. Let me see who else is competing. Oh my gosh. Let me see who else is competing at this competition. Because, there's only some things that could happen. Let me see, guys. I'm so sorry. I should have done better, honestly. So, women's, let's see. Maybe Kemi Rippon, maybe, just saying, like, tons of things could happen. Yu Young, Hae Lee is competing this year as well. Kurokova, Hana Yoshida. I don't know why I didn't really discuss Hana Yoshida, because she's really done some well this season as well, right? Yeah, she really has done this season. Like, her best is 2:03, yeah. Yeah, I think Hana Yoshida, she could also win a medal here. So I really believe it truly depends on who is clean. Because this could be a very exciting competition. I feel like last year, I don't really know. I didn't really watch Worlds last year, not gonna lie. I was kind of busy around the time. But this is an exciting competition. This is very exciting. And so, maybe Emberland, guys. I'm hoping, I'm praying, guys. All fingers, toes, ears, hairs crossed. Amber Glenn, I just really want her to have at least a clean program, because I really love her programs. But anyway, I think the next field is not as, like, nothing bad's gonna happen, because it's ice dance. And in ice dance, I feel like mistakes don't tend to happen too much as compared to other seasons, like, disciplines. In terms of, like, falls, or, like, you can't under-rotate in ice dance, so it's probably the least not consistent field. So, like, it's pretty consistent. The results are pretty consistent. So I don't think anything major is gonna happen that changes anything too much. Like, I don't think a team that, suddenly is gonna suddenly have an explosion in scores or anything. I really do think, like, it's probably gonna stay consistent as we've seen this season so far from what the results have happened. But I only see 4 main contenders for the podium. And they're kind of the same as the 4 last year as well, At least I'm pretty sure. But, like, yeah, I really do think that it's not going to be, like, a big shock. Like, yeah, I really don't think it's going to be a big shock who's going to win and, like, who's going to, But there's only 4 teams I see as the contenders for the podium. The first is Fear and Gibson from the UK. Their season's best is 215.19 at NHK Trophy and 200.46 at the Nepela Memorial. I don't have too much to say about them, because I think what I can say about them, I can say about the next team, about who is going to win the bronze. I really do think it's between these two for the bronze. And that is Guignard Fabry, my favorite ice dance team. I love them. Love them so much. Love the free dance. Their season's best score is very close to Fear and Gibson's. It's 215.51 at Grand Prix Final. And their lowest score is 203.28 at the Shanghai Trophy. So they were defeated by Fear and Gibson at Grand Prix Japan. I know a lot of people saw it as a big shock that Fear and Gibson did win over Guignard and Fabry at Grand Prix Japan. But then at Europeans, Guignard Fabry won over Fear and Gibson. So if we went based off of the last, appearance, last competition we both saw them at, Guignard Fabry is the clear winner. But we've seen before that Fear and Gibson have won over them. So, levels are going to matter, of course. I'm not going to say that it's like, I don't know why I'm saying this point. Levels going to matter. Who's going to get the level 4s? Who's going to have the most stable twizzles? And artistry-wise as well, to be honest, I connect more with Guillermo Fabry's programs than Fear and Gibson. But, stuff can happen. And, although they won Europeans over Fear and Gibson, that doesn't mean that they're like a shoo-in to beat Fear and Gibson here at Worlds. And, there can always be another team that wins bronze as well. But I really do think that's probably going to happen between Fear Gibson and Guillermo Fabry, if you know what I'm talking about. Probably not. I'm just rambling at this point. The next team I want to discuss is Gilles Poirier, who we discussed earlier for our program of the week. Vincent, amazing. I hope you guys go watch it after this. Their Wuthering Heights program this season is so beautiful. I love it so much. And I just love it so much, guys. I'm just saying. And, they come into here winning. They just won the 4 continents. Oh, sorry. Let me discuss their scores. So their best score this season is 219.01 at Skate Canada. Sorry. And 206.83 is their lowest at Cup of China. So, yeah, I love their free dance so much. Again, I feel like they get better every single year. Like, it's a great program. And, ice dance is scary, though. Like, ice dance is kind of scary. Like, to me, sometimes, like, it's like, it's so, like, exact. You know what I mean? So, I feel like the results are gonna honestly come down to the fine details. But I also feel like it's pretty obvious who's gonna win. But I really do hope Gilles Poirier do really good here. Maybe next season is going to be their season. Like, they're going to win Worlds. Like, maybe. Like, I'm really hoping. Because I do think they've worked so hard for so long that I really want them to win gold at Worlds at some point. Because I really love their whole aesthetic, their whole vibe as well. And then the team after them is Chalk and Bates. So they have 221.61 at Grand Prix Final and 209.46 at the Grand Prix of Finland, Grand Prix of Espoo, right? So Chalk and Bates, I love their programs this season as well. Their free dance is so unique, I feel like. I really like the idea behind it. Especially the opening pose is really interesting. Let me think. So their total score is about 2.5 points. Their season's best is about 2.5 points over Gilles and Poirier. I'm so sorry. So, it's not a huge gap that's going to be, like, super obvious. Like, if Chalk and Bates didn't make a mistake, then maybe the Canadians would win over them. But, again, like, Worlds is not... I'm not saying those scores are the max because, we've seen world records happen at Worlds before. And it's not... I'm not trying to say that that's it. Like, based on the season's best, that's it. Because these teams could do more than that. The judges could give them more than that. So, yeah. So, the podium that I believe is going to happen is in third place, Guillermo Fabry. Second place is Gilles and Poirier. And first place is Chalk and Bates. And I don't see that changing too much unless Fear and Gibson pull out a win over Guillermo Fabry for the bronze. But I honestly don't see, like, them going for the silver or the gold. Like, neither Guillermo Fabry or Fear Gibson. I don't really see that they could maybe go for the silver or the gold because I really do think the silver is really locked in for Piper Gilles and Paul Poirier and the gold for Chalk and Bates. Again, ice is slippery. Mistakes can happen. We've seen falls before in ice dance. We've seen, they just don't happen as often. So that's why I'm saying, like, these placements seem more solid to me than other... Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. Other disciplines. You know what I mean? Probably not. I can't talk today. Like, I just can't... I keep on rambling. Anyway. So ice dance is that. And then men is the last disciplined. They're going to be the last event at Worlds. And I believe this is the field where consistency matters the most. The winner is going to be whoever stays the vertical. If they do not fall, I believe they're going to win. If they don't fall, okay? I think that's the important here. Ice is slippery, right? And consistency is really key in the men's event, especially because some of, these men, they all have these quads, they all have these, crazy jumps, crazy moves, and they, stuff like that. But it's going to come down in my opinion, it's going to come down to who is the most clean compared to everyone else. So in terms of contenders for the podium, I really only see 4 again, like the ice dance event, but it's less stable in my opinion than, I'm so sorry. It's less stable in my opinion than the ice dance event, but men's. So the first skater I want to talk about is Adam Shahim-Fa, who has really had an amazing season. He's just, I feel like it's night and day almost. He's just this season has been amazing for him. So, he won both of his Grand Prix with scores over 300 at both of them, which is absolutely crazy. Or no, almost 200 at Cup of China, but not 300. Yeah, not 300, but very close to 300. So he really has had really big scores this season. 300s, 290s, really high scores. But then again, at Europeans, the last competition we saw him at, he got his lowest score this season at 276.17, when his high score is 306.78 at Grand Prix de France. I do know at Europeans he did the backflip. I think he got deductions for it, so I guess that we could count that in, but still it's not as clean as Adam Shahim-Fa would hope at Europeans. But he has had such an amazing season so far. He is undefeated except for a 4th place at Grand Prix final, which was a little disappointing considering the fact that he had such a great Grand Prix season before that. He didn't do so good in the short program, but he did make a comeback in the free skate and end up 4th. So, despite his wins, he does have some inconsistency, but I do think he's a fighter as well. Like Isabel Levito, I think he's a fighter. I do think he's grown as a skater. The choreography from Benoit Richaud has really, I like it. I know some people, they don't really like it. It's just, I don't know. But I like his programs this season too. And the Arabian is super cool. And another thing is that he has the quadlets. The other men, quadlets is a hard jump. The other men don't have the quadlets for sure. They do not have it, except Ilya Milinin. And I don't believe the other 2 skaters I'm going to talk about have the quadlets. So, if Adam's clean, I know he has quad flip too, quad toe and quad style. I don't know if he has the loop. But if Adam Shahim-Fa is clean, I see him very, very much being in contention for the gold here. If he is clean, which, we know he is capable of being, as all these skaters are capable of being. But next we have Yuma Kageyama, who is really the interesting person for me in this field because this is a comeback season. He had injury last season, basically all last season. This is a comeback season for him, and he's had so much success. His highest score this season is from 4 continents, which was just a month ago again. So it was 307.58 giant score. His lowest score was earlier in the season, 265.59 at Lombardia Trophy. So again, if he scores like he did at 4 continents, he could definitely win here the World Championships. Big medal potential. He doesn't have the amount of quads that the other men have, but I feel like he really does make up for it in terms of skating skills. I don't know, but I feel good for his programs too. His Rain in Your Black Ice program is really nice. Again, it's hard to come back from injury, so it's super impressive that he's come back so well. Definitely shows that, injury is not ending. Injury is not permanent. It's amazing what a skater can do after injury. especially an injury that took him off the ice for so long, off competitive ice for so long, that he's come back. This is his comeback season, and I definitely think he can win a medal here, which is so impressive considering last season around this time, he was injured. He didn't make it on the world team, if I remember. He didn't go to Worlds. So it's so impressive what he's been able to do. Oh my gosh, my throat. But yeah, I really like his programs and everything. So yeah, so and the fact that he's passed 300 before, he could do it again. So the third skater I'm going to talk about is Shoma Uno from Japan as well. And out of these four contenders, he's the most seasoned competitor. He's, has the most experience. He brings so much knowledge of the ice, of experience of competitions with him. And I think that's an advantage. He went to the 2018 Olympics. None of these other three skaters did go. He won the Japanese nationals over Yuma. So, maybe he could beat Yuma here as well. Again, it was a national, so the scoring probably wasn't the most accurate. But he did win over Yuma at Japanese nationals. I really like his short program. It's like Claire de Lune, but it's like I Love Kung Fu, I think it's called. And it's almost eerie in a good way. It's interesting. And he is the two-time world champion. He won 2022. He won 2023. So he could win 2024. It's just like Harry Sakamoto. But this season, he hasn't had the highest score so far. His best score this season is a 297.34 at the Grand Prix final. His lowest is 279.98 at Grand Prix or Cup of China. So, his scores haven't been as high as, last season's scores. But he still has major potential because we've seen him hit it so many times. We've seen him do it so many times, obviously. And so I just think he really does have great potential to win a medal here, even though he hasn't had perhaps the best pre-Worlds season. Yeah, so what am I saying? Oh my gosh. So also another thing, he's had some rotation issues before. I think most of them have been quarters, so it's not really under rotations, but Shoma Uno does need to rotate all the jumps, land all the jumps. He does have quad flip over the other skiers, very high value points. But I definitely think if he's clean and because he has so much potential, we all know that. And so if he's clean and, he's great and, we know that he's artistically, I think he's more developed than all of the other skaters here. So, yeah, if he's clean, then he can get a higher score than his season's best, for sure, 100%, he can get more. He can probably get into 300s. I'm sure I'm 100% sure he's been over 300 before. Let me see. What is his personal best? Because, I know I said I wasn't going to consider it, but that could still be important here. So, let me see. His personal best is 312. Yeah. So I really do think that, he could really win here too. If he is consistent, if he lands all the jumps, etc. Just like all the other skaters here. Consistency is so important in figure skating. It's crazy actually. So our next skater is Ilya Malinin, our last skater that we're talking about. Ilya Malinin from the United States of America. His best score this season is 314.66 at the Grand Prix final. So, 7 points ahead of Yuma, who has the second best. So, major potential. His lowest is 281.68 at the Autumn Classic. So the one thing that Ilya Malinin does have for him is the quad axel. He's the only skater that has the ability to land it, unless one of these guys, they're going to pull it out of nowhere. I can do it too, just saying. But Ilya Malinin, he has the quad axel, again, more value than the triple, of course. So quad axel is very valuable. But we've seen him in a few competitions this season where he hasn't attempted it. So maybe he won't attempt it this competition. Maybe he will. I definitely think if he wants to win Worlds, he should put it in. But, maybe not. It depends. It's not my call, obviously. So Depends on how consistent he is with it, which I feel like he is relatively consistent with the quad axel. He has fallen, but he can do it, I'm pretty sure. But the last competition we saw him at US Nationals, he did in the free ski, he popped his quad loop and the toe, and he did fall in the quad lutz. So if he does have a competition like that at Worlds, like a performance like that at Worlds, like the one he had at US Nationals, then, maybe he won't win. But he is undefeated this season except to Adam Chahinfa at Grand Prix de France. But artistically as well, he's developed too. Not as much artistry as perhaps the other three skaters, but he makes up for that technical wise with the quad axel, with quad lutz, with quad flip. He has all the quads. I know that his quad loop, I know people said that it wasn't the most consistent. At least that's what we've seen from competitions. So maybe he won't attempt the quad loop, but technically wise, he is super, 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 super competitive. And that technical side is his main strength. So podium predictions, I definitely think this is the one that I know could change like an instant, just like that. I could snap and all of it could change. But from what I've seen, I think third is gonna be Yuma Kagiyama, second is gonna be Adam Schoenfeld, and first is gonna be Ilya Milinin. So again, that could change. Shoma Uno could definitely be on there. This order could definitely be changed. Maybe Adam's gonna be able to change. Maybe it's Yuma. Maybe it's Shoma. Again, I don't know. But that is Worlds predictions. And, it's the end of the season, which is so unfortunate because I love talking about competition so much. But I have some exciting content coming up that is not Worlds related. I won't reveal it yet because it's not coming up yet, but I did want to let you guys know, like, what's going to be heading down the road for the podcast. So next week, the episode on Saturday, I am planning to cover the ice dance event and the women's event because those will be over on Friday, and so I'll be able to record, and then upload the episode on the Saturday. But then the week after that, the men's event, it was the pairs and women's. The men's event and the ice dance event are going to be over by on the Sunday, I believe. And so the Saturday after that, which will be the 30th, will be that episode. So I know that's a little confusing, but just watch out. Just know that my Worlds kind of review is going to be split into 2 episodes. But I'm really happy about that, honestly, because I think that way I'm going to get a lot more in-depth about skaters. I'm not going to just talk about, the top 5. Maybe I'll get to talk about 10 or, every program that I really want to. And so, that is Worlds. I will try to watch as much of Worlds as I can. And, I am very excited about Worlds, guys. Very, very excited. And, this is actually crazy. This is the end of the season. Best of luck to all the skaters skating at Worlds. I love figure skating so much. I hope everyone is super clean because that could be the most amazing competition ever. Montreal, you have my heart. Montreal is such a pretty city. Thank God the time zone isn't like super whack because from where I live, the time zone change isn't that bad. So I definitely do think I can watch Worlds at a reasonable time and not at like 5 a.m. But anyway, that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Definitely go watch Worlds this upcoming week. Let me know who you guys' favorite programs, favorite skaters, who your favorite skaters are, your favorite programs, moments you enjoy from the Worlds. And let's see if my predictions are right. Bye-bye.